10 out of 10 is the best car you can have.
What's up guys, it's Gabe. I'm in the 2023 Camaro SS. Let's find out if it's worth your time and potentially your money. Excited to be behind the wheel of another 6th generation Camaro V8. That exhaust note, oh my gosh, that bombastic, exciting, rock and roll American V8, man. Oh my gosh, so distinctive from the predecessor, the LS3, and of course the competition like the Coyote V8 and the 392 Hemi, the Challengers and Chargers. Now that explosive hard rock exhaust note is made from a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine dubbed the LT1, and that makes about 455 crank horsepower and about 455 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are the exact same numbers from last year, the year before that, and all the way until 2016. That's right, the LT1 has maintained the same level of performance numbers in about 8 years. And it's actually kind of funny because the Coyote 5-liter V8 in those 8 years has gone through 2 generation changes. And it makes you think, are they doing that to spice things up with their consumers, or are they just doing it because they haven't found and aren't satisfied with the engines that they put out? Either way, whatever the case is, the LT1 sure does put you in your place. Strong throttle response, good access to power. I mean, it's such a very, very exciting engine. Oh my gosh. Now the Camaro SS does come with 2 transmission options to deliver those power numbers and torque figures. It's going to be either a 6-speed manual transmission Tremec, or you're going to get this Supermatic lightning fast 10-speed automatic transmission. And let me tell you guys something, this is the first time that I drive a performance 10-speed automatic transmission. And the moment you put this thing into D, which is auto drive, the revs to 6,000 RPM. Now we're gonna switch to manual mode here. Oh. A little delay on the upshift, so let's check the downshifts. Oh my gosh. Oh. I gotta say, it's a lot more engaging and fulfilling to shift and do it yourself essentially. But when you have a transmission like the Supermatic 10-speed, it definitely raises a couple eyebrows, especially when you leave it up to the computer. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't the quickest transmission. When you compare it to the BMW dual clutch, or even the ZF, and of course, other crazy and more expensive cars like the PDK, this definitely doesn't rank as high, but it still gets the job done. And if you haven't been exposed to those other transmissions before, you will not be bothered. What else do we need in the equation? Good set of brakes. The Camaro SS comes with 4-piston Brembos up front and 4 pistons in the rear. And let's go ahead and do a little brake test to test them out at 60. Well, That was pretty good. Let's try 75. Oh yeah, these are definitely better than the LT1s, like absolutely. So it brakes pretty good, but let's get it back on the road. But let's do it America style, baby, by testing out that launch control, which should be about 4 seconds flat. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and initiate it by hitting this over here twice until we get ESC competitive mode on. And then it's gonna be as simple as putting your foot on the brake, slamming the accelerator, and letting it rip. Yep, that sounds about right. 4 seconds sounds about right. And we got a lot of spinning from those Goodyear F1s, and those are 275 in the rear and 245s up front. That was like around 2,000 RPM or so. Again, with the custom launch control settings, you could definitely launch it at a higher one or even lower one. But I mean, from the factory, I mean, that is a pretty aggressive launch, even for these tires. We're coming up on the corner here. Have it on track mode. Let's see how it feels. Ooh. Oh, that grips so nicely, man. You do get a very small hint of body roll, very minimal, very minimal, but I'm sure with MagneRide or the 1LE package tuned suspension, I'm pretty sure that would remedy that entirely. And this is a pretty big car in itself, so my gosh, but does it handle so good. Whoa. Oh my gosh, this is very sticky tires too. Even with some slight application of the throttle, it still holds it down very nicely. So if you decide to opt out of the 1LE package, and just leave it with the stock suspension for all your track and cornering needs, you will be missing out on 2 key components, which is the 6-piston Brembo brakes up front and also the electronic limited slip differential, which for a lot of 1LE owners, it is a make or break when it comes to track performance. You know, it is the best way of controlling when to send the power to the wheels and the appropriate spinning under different circumstances. So it's the best way to really enter and exit corners efficiently without understeering or oversteering. Listen, if you're just trying to have some fun with the boys on your track days and take it out on some corners here and there, you will not be disappointed with the Camaro SS's suspension and its handling capabilities. So how does the Camaro SS ride? Well, like most modern sports cars, you have different driver settings for different driving situations and of course driver appetites. And of course, in order to switch it from track to, let's say, the tour mode, which is the most comfortable one, the entire driving experience starts to change. The suspension slightly becomes more forgiving. It's not too noticeable from the track suspension. If you wanted something more noticeable, you would get the magnetic ride suspension. The bumps on the road and the imperfect roads are absorbed fairly nicely. You're still gonna have a little bit of a feedback. You're still gonna bobble up and down because this is, again, a sports car by nature. If we switch it to comfort or tour mode, the steering wheel immediately loosens up. It's a lot more manageable. It's not as tight and precise like it would be with the track setting. The exhaust in the back quiets down just a little bit and gives us enough time to think about how much we love this Camaro. And a bunch of other things start to happen. For example, the transmission already becomes a lot more comfort. It's not as aggressive when it shifts. Aside from the cost of gas, which by the way, if you wanted to keep it very leisurely, you're gonna get about 16 to 24. So 16 city, 24 on the highway, and that's also partially thanks to the cylinder deactivation or the active fuel management that this car has, which a lot of people complain about, including the owner of this car himself. He has this little handy dandy device here that could essentially remove the AFM or the active fuel management to really give you the raw V8 experience that our forefathers intended on having. So what you'll have to understand about the Camaro SS is that it is the best way to, give me a second. It is the best way to get your foot in the door for a track experience on a Camaro. Whether you get the 1SS or the 2SS, you are allowed to spec out the 1LE package as an option, which is the ultimate track-oriented performance package. Now, if you didn't want to do that, that is absolutely okay, because that is a $7,000 option. Whether you decide to get the 1LE package or not, the Camaro SS is armed with a lot of characteristics and features that really are built for those longevity and aggressive situations that are being placed on the car when you take it on the track. For example, you have a transmission cooler, a rear differential cooler, an engine auxiliary coolant cooler as well. You just have a copious amount of coolants and coolers to keep the car running effectively, something that you don't get on the Camaro LT1, which is very indicative of that track focus or that intent. And that is just something that is really cool that you get, and you don't have to upgrade to the 1LE package. So what is the cost of driving a 2023 Camaro 2SS? Well, ultimately it depends on which type of Camaro SS you decide to go with. With the SS lineup, you have the 1SS and you have the 2SS. There is no performance difference when it comes to the 1SS and the 2SS. In fact, both of these trim levels have the same exact engine, transmission options, drivetrain, and of course performance output and numbers. The only differences comes with the comfort and convenient features. The 2SS is rightfully the most luxurious version of the SS, while the 1SS is more of the entry-level SS experience. If you wanted to get your foot in the door with the Camaro SS driving experience, you're gonna start off with the 1SS. And if you get the 6-speed manual transmission option, you're gonna be paying around $44,000. Now, if you wanted to get the 10-speed automatic, it's gonna jump up to $45,500. And of course, if you wanted to go even further and get the 2SS, which is again the most luxurious driving experience with the comfort and convenient features, which we will cover in just a moment, it's gonna start off at $48,000, and that's for the 6-speed manual transmission. Now, if you wanted to get the 10-speed automatic, it jumps up all the way to $50,000. Now, of course, the price can only go up from there because just like other manufacturers, there is copious amount of things that you could spec out to your build. But I think the most important thing that you should get for your Camaro SS or LT1 or pretty much any other V8 you decide to go with has to be with the dual mode MPP exhaust system. That is by far the best thing that you can do for these V8s. Not only does it look very nice, but it also gives you an array of different type of dynamic sound changing that the exhaust can adapt to depending on what type of mode you select. Let's go ahead and hear how it sounds like from the factory. To be honest, I can't really tell the difference between the sport and track mode, but I think from the other options, there's definitely a notable difference. All right, guys, so $50,000 doesn't just get you a fun, exciting driving experience or a great sounding exhaust. It also gets you this very unique and distinctive look that the Camaro brings to the table, especially this generation. Well, technically, it's a refresh 6th generation Camaro. And this refresh has always been very controversial in the Camaro and muscle car and overall car enthusiast community. You know, it has like this very strange type of fin design over here that is, again, specific to the SS. The LT1, if you guys remember, is actually the same exact body as the V6 versions. So the SS has its own unique look. And I gotta say, in this black, gloss black color, it does make it look a lot more aggressive, and you kind of forget that it has like that fugly front. And in this particular color, and I imagine that if you start adding some lips to the bottom, I think it's gonna look a lot better. And frankly, for me, the front bumper has really started to grow on me over these last few months. And I love the little key characteristics, like for example, the headlight over here that trails off over here. And then you have like the unique fin design that again is specific to the SS. And of course you have the two-piece grille design that is iconic to the Camaro. And of course the massive grille on the bottom helps out tremendously with that airflow to cool down that 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. Of course you need to have such a big grille because again, this is a track-focused, track-themed version of the Camaro V8 experience, unlike the LT1. Over here, you actually have a vent that, again, allows for the air to channel out. Up here is where we're gonna find something that has not grown on me, and that's gonna be this hood scoop insert that really never made much sense to me. I mean, there's just so much more room that you could have possibly made for it, and I just don't like how small it is compared to like the 5th generation Camaro hood insert. All right, so the front of the car obviously is the more controversial aspect of the exterior design, but I think we can all unanimously agree that the side profile of the Camaro SS is probably, I think, the best feature of this car. I mean, it's just so sharp and aggressive, and it's maintained its consistency since the 5th generation Camaro. I think from the side, it's really actually quite difficult to tell which one is which if you don't really know Camaros like I do. But I absolutely love the low roof design, the very small window. Again, it kind of looks like it's a supercar in a way, like the Aventador. Obviously, it's quite of a different experience, but that also comes with its drawbacks, which I'll actually share what the 2SS does to combat the visibility infamous problem that these Camaros have had. But you also get to appreciate things like the 5-spoke gloss black wheels that you get with this car, one of the 10 different types of options that you get from the factory. And of course, tucked behind those 5-spoke wheels, you'll have the 4-piston Brembo brakes up front and in the rear, as I mentioned before. And you can spec them out to be painted in this nice torch gloss red color that, you know, black on red. I mean, you can't go wrong with that color combination. One of the cool things that you get to really appreciate about the Camaro is that it does have its wide fender flares that you get to see from different angles. In the front and in the back, you know, there's a lot of girth to this car, which is really what I like about it. Overall, the side profile of this car is very sporty, very aggressive, and most importantly, very consistent. Now the rear section, just like the front of the car, also did receive a refreshed design and look, and it also carries some controversy just like the front of the car. I must say that I actually really enjoy the rear section of the Camaro SS, especially with the independent taillight designs that pay tribute to the original 5th generation Camaro look. I also love that you have the quad tip exhaust setup, which is of course that dual mode MPP exhaust system. You have a nice diffuser that is specific to the Camaro SS, unlike the LT1. You also have like this very nice wing design that, you know, there's different types of options that you can pick out from the factory. I think from the rear and from the side, I love the wing and it looks very much aggressive. I do have to say that that is my favorite part of these refreshed 6th generation Camaro SSs. Now, before we get into the interior design and the features that come with the 2SS, let's talk a little bit about this key here. It's very simple. It's actually the same exact key that you would get on any other Camaro, ZL1 1LE, or the base V6 model. Nothing too special about that. At first glance, this is a very nice interior compared to the 5th generation Camaro SS. I said that with the LT1, and I'm gonna say this with the SS and even the ZL1. The 6th generation Camaro interior is just eons ahead of the 5th generation Camaro. Now, when we talk about the competitors, the 2023 Mustang GT, for example, I think this has a way better interior, even than the premium, but unfortunately, it does not compare nearly with the S650, which is the brand new generation of Mustangs. Compared to the Charger and the Challenger, I think the Camaro SS interior is just way better. The Charger and Challenger's interior is just very plain, and it doesn't make me feel like I'm in a performance car, which I definitely do get that sense, especially with this steering wheel here. I love that it's a flat bottom steering, and I love how this generation brought back the Camaro letters here with the SS badge, just like they did in the 5th generation Camaro SS, the pre-refresh. The paddle shifters are right in front of it, and I already mentioned that they have a very cheap sound, but a good feedback, if that makes sense. And of course, right in front of it, you have a mix of a digital and a physical speedometer, tachometer, and the different gauges. I also really love the infotainment system screen here. This is an 8-inch infotainment system, and it is standard on the 2SS, as opposed to the LT1, where you had to get the technology package to actually spec that out and get this screen. Now, 2SS actually comes with a copious amount of luxurious features, as I mentioned before. The most notable one, in my opinion, has to be the heated and cooled seats. Now, heated seats are always going to be available, but cooled seats, I mean, that is just top notch right there. That's the stuff that you would find on like a BMW M or a luxurious S-Class. And of course, with the 2SS, you also get things like blind spot monitoring. You also get things like an HUD or heads-up display. Now, in terms of most impactful features of the 2SS that really does eliminate that pesky and infamous visibility problem that the Camaro SSs have always been plagued in, is going to be found over here in the rear view mirror. That if you actually switch it down, it becomes a normal functioning rear view mirror, but if you flick it towards yourself, it has a rear display camera. It looks like it's a 1080p quality, so it's pretty decent. And of course, you also have a rear view camera, which if we go ahead and switch it into reverse, the rear view camera is not the strong suit for sure of the Camaro SS, but you know, it's a rear view camera, it's something. And the fact that there's a rear view camera to begin with the Camaro SS is just a blessing. And of course, when you have the blind spot monitoring up top over here, I mean, this is just, there's really no excuses. There's a lot of plastic components. Of course, this is an American mass-produced muscle car, so I'm not overly too concerned about that. I also really like how with the 2SS and even the 1SS or even the LT1, you have ambient lighting that is just something that at night it looks absolutely stunning. This is actually run with Apple CarPlay, so of course, good old-fashioned iPhone users, this is the car for you. Now, this is not an overly technical review when it comes to the different features, but of course, just like the Mustang GT, the Challengers, the Chargers, you have timers for 0 to 60, 0 to 100, brake timers as well. All of those are very standard things to have. This interior is actually the adrenaline red interior that is a package that you can spec out. You can ask for these red seat belts that I think just look absolutely awesome. I really wish they would have had this for the 5th generation Camaro as an option. And you know, it's just one of these things where it's really cool that you can customize your car with this level of option. As an added option to the 2SS, you also have Bose speakers, which are very important if you're an audiophile or you just like to listen to music as a whole. And if you wanted to get the option, you can spec out a sunroof over here. If you wanted to put some GoPros, or you just wanted to have more lighting, or just, you know, feeling the breeze a little bit more, that's a really good option to spec out with your Camaro 2SS. So we took this car out for a drive. We went over the performance characteristics, the exterior, the interior characteristics of the 2SS, and what makes it unique and special. Let's hear what other people have to say about the Camaro SS and their experiences with it. We are at a local car meet, and we're going to be talking to the participants and asking them what they think of the 2023 Camaro 2SS. What's your favorite thing of the 2023 or this generation of Camaro?
That it's the same exact engine and drivetrain as the Corvette.
From 2019 and up, Chevy has added the blind spot camera on the rear view mirror. So that's automatically number 1. 2 is just, you know, styling interior wise. You know, I was a Mustang guy before, so it's a big upgrade in the interior compared to all Mustangs, you know, unless the GT500s, those are obviously better. In general, the whole performance wise and handling of the car is much better.
Before I owned my ZL1 1LE, I had a 2SS 1LE. I like the 6th gen, obviously the weighting and the compared to the 5th gen.
They're easy platforms to upgrade, and I definitely think that they're great cars, for sure. The magnetic ride suspension that it has was great, because you could kind of like, you know, be comfortable, or you could go into track mode, and I really liked just the NA, you know, NA V8, you really get that good crisp sound, yeah.
Yeah, it's super refined compared to like the previous LS3.
Yeah, well, LS3 is a great motor too.
Yeah.
You know, not being too much of a fan of cars, I like the aesthetics of the car itself. It's beautiful. I like the cuts. It's American. The interior is amazing. I worked upholstery for about 4 years, aircrafts and boats, and I can tell you that I just saw the stitching. Wonderful. It's very luxurious.
What about something that you don't like about it?
I don't know what I don't like yet. I'll find out soon.
Not many things is hard to pick out, but let's say the oil on these cars. Now GM recommends a different type of oil, so oil changes will cost you about $100, you know, every 3 to 4 months. The rear seat capacity, you can't really fit many people back there, or a normal sized person in general. I think GM could have done better just in competing with BMW, stuff like that. Maybe update the interior. From 2016, all 6 gens are the all same interiors.
Same.
Yeah, basically the same. So I could have a 2020, 2024. They're all the same.
The only thing you really can do is intake, headers, full E85, and that's like the max you're gonna get out of the car. And then the last thing is the interior could be a little more. I mean, I have an M4 now, so it's just night and day difference for the interior.
Of course.
You know, as far as space, I'm winning with the Ford. I'm not too sure if the economy is another thing, because it's two completely different engines as well.
True. It's no surprise that the latest rendition of the Camaro SS leaves an impactful impression, whether positive or negative. Even as a Camaro enthusiast and an owner, I'm able to still recognize the shortcomings and the things that I don't like about the 6th generation Camaro SS. For example, the front fascia, which has created so much controversy, but even though for me it's something that I've gotten used to, it's only if you put it in a darker color like black or dark blue that it really is tolerable for me. And of course the hood insert as well is lacking, and it's a little bit unsatisfactory. Of course, these are all subjective things, and you can always upgrade in the aftermarket realm. What is very much objective is the fact that this car has not gone through an updated, refreshed interior. A 2016 model is the exact same thing as a 2023 model, and of course the 2024 model doesn't look like it's going to change it either. The things that really stuck out to me was this car's performance. The LT1 motor, it's got a great low to mid-range acceleration. It's got a great throttle response as well. It also has one of the best sounding exhausts in the American muscle car scene. It's crispy, it's refined, it's very unique to the Camaro SS. The 10-speed transmission, although it's not as fast as a dual clutch transmission, it still feels like it's very lightning quick, it's very responsive. The handling and steering, of course, was something that I really much enjoyed when you put it on sport mode. Although there's not much enhancement to the suspension components, the steering wheel definitely does stiffen to give you a lot more confidence. It really does feel like there is very minimal body roll, which I can't even imagine how much better the when at least suspension is going to be. Well guys, there is the full in-depth review of the 2023 Camaro 2SS. I hope you guys found this video informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, helps out tremendously with the algorithm. Guys, stay tuned for a full POV drive of this Camaro 2SS with the 10-speed automatic without me yapping and letting all the car do the talking. Guys, if you enjoy my content and this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And guys, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos, my reviews, my how-tos, my POV drives, etc., etc. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.